If you had told me a few years ago that I would be able to sit still and be at peace and comfortable in my own skin without thinking about anything or without feeling guilty about not doing something. I always felt like I had to get up and do something just to keep myself busy so I didn't have to think about stuff. Find myself just caught thinking about the past or what I should be doing or what I could be doing. Well, none of you know someone that's like that, or maybe you feel like that yourself, where you feel like you can't just relax and have a quiet mind. If you stick with me in this video to the end, I'm going to show you a concept, a blueprint of how you can find out where you're stuck in your life. Some people are stuck in doing all the time, where they feel like they need to be busy, and other people are stuck in a part of this process, and it's a natural process of life and nature. Some people are stuck in the part where they're not doing what they should be doing. They feel stuck, and when you feel like that stuck feeling, you know you should be doing something, but you don't feel like it because you feel guilty and you feel like tired and drained from all of the overthinking. And if you feel like you're stuck there, that's part of the process of this particular process I'm going to show to you. It's going to be a little bit in depth in this video, so it's going to be a little bit of a long video, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. If you watch this video and you get to the end of it, even if you just watch it halfway through, you're still going to get value from it, because it's going to give you a concept. And that's all I want you to take away from these videos. It's not like rules or instructions or things that you have to do. It's just like getting the gist of what this process means. And I'm going to go into a little bit of deep detail. I'll show you what I'm going to show you first. So here we go. Let's do this. So this is just a little bit of a presentation, like a sketch that I've done now for this particular process that is very well known in certain philosophies like Hinduism, and it's the three deities. These are I don't want to get too much into the detail of this, but I have to show you this because this comes from something that's a natural process. And if you get the gist of this, we're going to simplify it as I get through it. So I'll show you first. This is going to just me going to a little bit of what these different parts mean, and everybody that you know and everything in nature is in this process. But what I found was people get stuck in one of these particular processes, and they're all very essential, but they're all very dangerous at the same time. If you get stuck in one, it can be counterproductive in your life. If you don't visit some of them, all of them, it's counterproductive. So it's going to be very valuable when you watch this to get you to evaluate where am I actually in life, because I was stuck in these, and I work with a lot of people who's definitely stuck in one of these. In fact, I was working with someone today that was stuck in this, and I'll show you now. So I'm going to get into the simple part of it then. We're going to go really simple, and we're going to go on and I'm going to show you certain things. So here we go. Stay with me as best you can on this one. Ask me any questions that you want to ask. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. And I'll say, I just want you to take away the gist of this whole concept, where I'm always checking with myself to see, am I stuck in one of these? I'm able to put myself into a really resourceful state nearly all the time, because I know this. And it's society has set this up a little bit wrong. So everybody's doing this process. It's necessary in order for you to evolve. But sometimes if you look at it, the way it's set up, it's set up in reverse. And I'm going to show you how to turn it all around, and then just keep this simple map in your mind, and just stop every now and again and check, are you stuck here, here, or here? So we'll read this. And this is kind of a description in the philosophy of where these different parts came from. So you're either doing something, and when you do something, you have something. So you work in order to have money so that you can have a house, and in order to have something, you have to do something. Okay, so doing is a process that some people get stuck in. They're doing all the time, and they never really stop. They're always busy, and they're never able to just stop and just sit and chill for a while, because they feel agitated, because they feel like they need to get back to doing again. And this having part here is where you sit and you hang with what you have. So if you work for something and you get a house and a car and all of those things, you should be able to hang with them for a while and just sit there and just absorb it and take it in and really appreciate it, because it creates a nice state in your nervous system if you do that. And it creates an energy that's very productive. So it creates an energy that you can actually put back into the doing part again, that if you're feeling better and you put that energy into what you do, what you get out the next time, the other end, what you have the next time is going to be better if you're in a good state. People that don't stop here, they're always burnt out. The quality of their work isn't as good as it could be. They still get stuff done, but they're always burned out. And I was stuck here for years. And it only hit me one time about 6 or 7 years ago, where I had to stop and go, okay, where am I? And this being part is the state that you're looking for. We do things because you want to feel a sense of beingness, a sense of achievement, a reward. It's that feeling where you're like, this is it, I did it. Oh my God, I feel amazing. Now, that's a necessary feeling for you to get. And this is part of the process, but you shouldn't stay here or get stuck here either, because there's no growth here. If you stay in this all the time, people are going to hate you because you're going to be ridiculous to be around. And it's that feeling that people think they need to feel all the time. And when they're not feeling it, everything else is a failure. So they're chasing this. And every time they don't get it, they feel like everything else is a failure, which is counterproductive on the process as well. So if you understand this process, I'm going to get you to be able to just get the gist of it. You'll be able to keep this thing moving and not get stuck in any of them. And you're going to be okay with all of them, and without feeling like you're doing something wrong or you're let down. So this little description that I wrote, it's I'm going to change it because it's a little bit deep, but it's necessary. So in Hindu philosophy, the concepts of doing, having, and being can be related to the roles of the three deities. Doing can be associated with Brahma, and that's the creator that brings things into existence. So these are gods that are part of a process. So Brahma is the creator that brings things into existence. So when you do something, you're creating something. These are just metaphors, right? Different religions will explain it a different way. Anybody could challenge me on the way I put this together. They're closely related, and everybody has their own interpretation of what the three deities is and what Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are. If you ask any religious person, they're going to give you their interpretation of it. This is just a concept, and so is everybody else's. They're just interpretations. My interpretation of this adds value to people's lives because it makes them feel better, and when you're feeling better, other people feel better, and when everybody's feeling better, you get more things done. So just using this as a metaphor to be able to put yourself into the desired feeling that you want to be in when you're trying to do something. So Brahm is the creator that brings things into existence, and having can be linked to Vishnu, the protector who maintains and preserves what has been created. So Vishnu is when you do something and you have something, you want to keep it. You want to stabilize it. You want to keep it as stable as possible so that you don't lose it or it doesn't change. And that's very important. These are gods. So in nature, it would be very important for something to sustain itself for a period of time so that you can observe it and measure it and experience it. Or otherwise, if it didn't stabilize for long enough, then there'd be no point in doing anything because you wouldn't be able to measure what you created. And this other part is being is the feeling that you get when you did it and you just feel so good, where you feel rewarded. And it's like, man, I'm so proud of myself. This is it. You know, celebrities get there, and the problem is they get stuck there. This is it. I feel great. This is amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to feel like this all the time because this is it. And they think they made it, and they get stuck at that point where they stop being creative because they feel like that's the threshold they've reached. Where in reality, you're never going to make it. There's always more that you can achieve. But some people think because they were told they made it, that's it. This is it. How do you feel? You've made it. And it can be a very destructive place because there's no growth there. And that's why a lot of people that are in that position end up very unhappy, and they end up escaping, using drugs, and because they think they should be happy because they have all of these things, but I still don't feel great. You know, I thought this would have felt better. And that artist, that creative person stops creating. And that's where their magic is. That's where they feel alive, is when they're moving, when they're doing. They stop in one of these places, and it becomes very destructive. So being can be linked to Shiva, and Shiva is the god of destruction. Sounds terrible, but you're going to like Shiva after this, because Shiva is a necessary part of the process, because the god of destruction is the destroyer of worlds. It's the destroyer of what already exists. and it's the destroyer of at the end of a cycle. So every process has to have a beginning and an ending for it to be a process, for it to evolve and transform into something else. And without Shiva, the destroyer of worlds, that's a god. And if you look it up, there's certain corporations that use that symbol, Shiva. It's like a statue with different loads of arms on it. And it's a really creepy looking thing, actually. And you probably wouldn't want it to be part of your life if you've seen it, but it's necessary. And I'm going to get you to be able to come to peace with it and introduce it into your life. Because if Shiva can destroy things, how about calling him in to destroy problems? You know, to destroy fear and to destroy anxiety and to destroy certainty. You know, having too much certainty in your life can rule out novelty and adventure. So if you could have Shiva in your life as part of the process and be at peace with it, then you can never get stuck. You're always moving. So this is the destroyer, and he represents the end of a cycle and the ultimate state of existence beyond the material world. It's inside everything. If you look at this process exists inside your cells. It exists inside plants, animals. You are the end of a cycle and the beginning of something new. And every moment there's so much transforming inside of you at a subatomic level, at a deeper level, that if you want to go into the science part of it, you can measure all of this process and this changing. So it's part of you, whether you want to include it or not. You're going to find out that it is part of your existence. And it goes beyond the physical and transient embodiment and any state of external consciousness of reality. It's deep, but that's how deep it goes. And I want to bring it a little bit deep on this just here at the beginning, because I want you to understand a little bit about what's underneath it all. Is there some real substance underneath this? Or are you just going to give me this sketch, this diagram that's just going to make me go, I already knew that kind of stuff, you know? This is going to get you to understand. It's like a car. You don't understand how a car works. You don't need to understand how a car works in order to drive a car. But if you do understand how it works, you've got an advantage in the situation, because you can foresee things that could go wrong based on information that's available to you that probably wouldn't be available to you if you didn't know about the car. So the car could cause you future complications if you don't know how it works. Now, I'm not saying that you need to know how it works, but it would give you an advantage to know how a car works underneath it all. You can still drive it, but if you know how this process works, and this is part of your mental health, and you know that there's a deeper meaning to it, your mind is going to take it more seriously, and it's going to give it a little bit of a substance. It's going to give you a little bit of a more important feeling to it, you know, that there's something backing it up. There's a metaphor and a story that's underneath it all. And when you're doing the process, you're going to know that something's underneath it. It's happening. It's not just words. So you don't need to remember this. You can go back over this video if you want and kind of get the gist of it. But basically, we're going to move on here to the next part, which is just keeping it simple. And I'm just going to show you this before we move on, is that, okay, hang on. Here we go. I'm over here. So this is doing Brahma, the creator. So in order to have something, you have to do something first. Vishnu is the maintenance and preserves. This is where you have something and you just want to keep it. If you stay here, you don't get anything done. It's great for a while, but after a while, it's like, I just don't feel like I'm doing anything. Now I feel guilty and I should be doing something. What's wrong with me? Why am I just sitting here? It was fine for a while. I used to be happy, but now I'm not. And a lot of people do get stuck here. This happened during the lockdown where people were just like chilling. And after a while, there was no growth and it became non-productive. Nothing was changing. Everything was staying the same. And if you keep everything the same, then you feel like you're not changing and you're not evolving. So you can start to get depressed if you're not feeling like you're transforming your life into something greater. So if you get stuck in doing all the time, that's counterproductive because you never really enjoy your life. You get lots of stuff done. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody that's busy all the time and they're just running around cleaning and hoovering, and when they sit down they're kind of just tapping and they're drinking tea and they're having a smoke and they're back up and they're back to doing again. Those people get sick much easier than people that are more chilled out. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this, but if you stay here too long, it's counterproductive. If you don't do this, it's counterproductive. If you stay here too long, it's counterproductive on growth. If you don't visit this and be here, so I'm going to get you comfortable just sitting here for a while, but being able to go, hang on a minute, where am I? Am I in having town? Should I be in the doing process? You know, and you see it more like a process rather than it's a problem. So your problems are not problems, they're processes. And if you see them like a process, then you can interrupt them and you can observe them and evaluate them and measure them and see where you are in it. Having is Vishnu, who maintains and preserves, stabilizes. The more you pay attention to something, the more you stabilize it. Okay? But you don't want to stabilize having too long because you won't evolve. That's why people are unhappy when they retire, because they feel like they're not doing anything anymore and they're not evolving. So beingness is the state that we're chasing. We do this stuff and we think we're going to feel this. If I do all this and I get the house and the car and the job, I should feel the sense of beingness. And you put beingness outside of you. And this is a process. Beingness is a process. It's the end of a cycle and the beginning of something new. It's just a feeling to let you know you've gone the right direction. I did it. This is it. Well, you don't stay there and go, this is it. This is it. This is it. Because after a while, you're going to go, this is it. Is this it? Is this it? This is it. Isn't this it? Is this it? You're going to get stuck there. And you realize that it's not it. It can never be. It's just a feeling to let you know you're going the right way. But people chase this and they think they should be feeling it all the time. And it takes them away from this process. And I can pretty much make an assumption about where somebody is in this process just by asking them a few questions. And I can see, okay, I can see this person's stuck. Just by a few questions, you can find out who's stuck. I want you to be able to ask yourself these questions yourself. So that you get value from this, and you will be able to do this by the end of this video. So we're going to move on here and keep it simple. So I told you I was going to get you to break it down and be simple. So this is it, just in a simple process: doing, having, and being. I was stuck here one time. I was doing something, a business opportunity, and I was in the office and I was making videos. Let's move this out of the way. I was making videos and I had to have the video in for 8 o'clock the next morning. I was only kind of getting into the swing of doing these videos. I didn't really know how to do them right, and I was at the early stages, so it was a good few years ago. And I was in the office and I was doing the video, and it took me 20 takes to do the video, right? I was tired, I was burned out. I promised the guy that I'd have it for 8 o'clock the next morning, so it's 12 o'clock at night. And I'm tired, and I'm just like thinking, oh, I'm tired of this. This is not what I wanted in life, but I have to do it. I've started it and I can't give up now. So what can I do? I can't give up. This is it. You know, I'm stuck. And I was working and working and working. And then eventually I got home and I got into bed and I took the iPad out and I loaded the video onto the iPad and I took it out and I started to go into to compress it, to email it off to the marketing guy, who was like, you better have it in for 8 o'clock in the morning. And I pressed play on it and there was no sound. And I was like, shit, there's no sound on it. And I turned around to Lindsay and said, I'm going to have to go back into the office and do this video again. There's no sound. She said, for what though? I said, I have to get it done. So I had to get dressed and I got back in and I was like, I'm not happy. This is not what I want to be doing, but I have to do it because society expects it from me. I took this challenge on and I can't stop now. And I was stuck in that mindset that if I keep doing, someday it's going to get better. So I went in and I'd done another take and it was the disaster. You could see my heart wasn't in it. I was doing it under duress and I was doing it out of necessity and not desire anymore. So I said, you know what? I know better than this. I should be able to change how I feel. I need to sit down and just work on myself for a little bit. So I walked over to the other side of the office and I sat in the chair. And I just checked in and go, what am I doing? Like, is this what I really want to do? And I looked over where the camera was set up and the tripod and the whole thing, and I was like, hang on a minute, isn't this what I wanted when I started off doing this career? I was like, this is going to be amazing. I just want to be able to make videos and help people and work with people, and here I am doing it now, but now I'm complaining about it. What's going on here? And I was like looking around going, this office is great. I've got a beautiful office in Clontarf, and I'm just sitting there and I'm going, this is beautiful. This is all I've ever wanted. I've got the gear, the camera. What am I complaining about? Like, and I started to, feel a little bit better as I was just looking around and taking in how far I've come and how well I had been doing up to that point. And I could feel my breathing starting to change. And you'll see people's breathing changing when they start to feel better. The breathing slows down and everything slows down. You're not as erratic. And I walked up to the canteen and I was looking around the canteen going, this is great. I can come up here anytime I want to make a cup of tea. And it was summertime and it was in the evening time. And I went upstairs and made a cup of tea, and I got the cup of tea and I went down the stairs and out to the front door. And I stood out at the front door and I was like, this is a beautiful place, right on the coast, looking over at the boardwalk on Clontarf, all people walking around and lights were on, and it was just, the ocean was still. And I was like, how do I feel so bad when I've got all this stuff? It ain't so bad, actually. Quite lucky. Went back in and sat down and I was like, this is good, actually. I feel very humble, very grateful. And I noticed that I was feeling different because I stopped over here in the having and I was sitting in the chair and I started to feel way better. And as I was starting to feel better, I started to feel this sense of achievement, this sense of, because I was measuring what I was doing, I wasn't stuck here in the process of doing all the time. I was here looking at the results of what I had done, and I started to feel much better. So this was starting to click with me. I was starting to get aha moments, and I was like, this is great. I think I figured out something here. I don't know what it is yet. I think I figured out something here that I need to do this more, but I could see that there was a pattern to it, because I'm really good at spotting patterns in people's behavior. And for the first time, I was actually getting a spotting a really big pattern in myself. And I was going, okay, this is a pattern. I could just repeat this system. And if I keep repeating this, then I can go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling really good. And as I'm feeling really good, then you ask yourself when you're feeling good, what do I want to do? Because I've got this sense of beingness, this sense of achievement, and I was like, this is great. I feel much better, actually. This is not so bad. I'm lucky. I'm going to make this video. So I went back from doing to sitting down and observing and taking it all in and just getting a sense of what I've got, not what I don't have. I wasn't questioning anything. I was just taking it all in just for a moment. Just simple things, nothing complicated happening here. I started to feel this sense of beingness. And this energy that I had, I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I got this energy and I went from here and I went back to do the video. So I went all the way back here to doing again. But this energy that I was putting into this was much better. And I put that energy into the next video. And after 10 minutes of doing the video, one take, I started to have a much better outcome. So what I got from what I did was much better because of this energy here that I put into this. And I was going, how can I repeat this process and just keep doing this? And I can go from here back to here and all the way back around again and put this energy back into here. Do something really productive, because if I don't do anything, I'm not going to get anything done. But I'm not going to stay here, because when I stayed here too long the last time, I burnt out. I was overwhelmed and I was fed up. So I was going, okay, I need to stop. Why do we do anything anyway? You know, we need to do it because we want to be able to appreciate what we have. But people don't know how to do that in most cases. They go here and they feel uncomfortable. They think they have to go back here again. And someday they're going to feel this beingness, but it's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work too well. It does work, but not very well. I'm not saying that this process doesn't work. This is society's process. And I was going, okay, I need to figure this out. So I had a guy that came into me the next day, a businessman who comes into me just for the heck of it. He's very wealthy. He's got everything that you could want in life. He's got a big business, and he's got, he even said, I've got the golf clubs, I've got the Mercedes. Everything's great. I just love coming in because I always feel better when I leave here anyway. And I learn more and I love it. So I said, okay, so let me tell you an interesting story. And interesting stories are mesmerizing and they can influence you. and you're influenced by stories, by your story, and you're influenced by other people's stories. So I started telling them what happened to me the night before. I said, I came in here and, I was kind of burned out, and I just did, and I told the story that I just told you there, and I was stuck in this doing, and he's looking at it and he's interested, he's going, yeah, Paul, I can see what you're talking about here, where you can get stuck there, because I felt like that, but I'm that's not me, and he desires to get something out of this session, and he's trying to fish out something that he can take away and go, I got, what I got from this. So he's kind of helping me to help him. And the guy was just great to work with. And I said, then there's this, then I stopped here in Havingtown, and he's kind of looking and going, where am I stuck? I'm stuck somewhere, Paul. I don't know what it is. I've got everything. I have the big business. I've got the staff. Staff are going away to China on a big deal. I'm not going. Be there, done that. Been there, done that. I just kind of can wake up in the morning. He says I can go into work if I want to. If I don't want to go in, I don't go in. Sometimes I go in at 2 o'clock. Sometimes I go in. Sometimes I don't go in. Sometimes I just pot around the house. Sometimes I go play golf. And he said, it's grand. It's fine. But there's something, and I don't know what it is. And he couldn't put his finger on it. He was just missing something out of his life. So I said, I stopped in Havingtown, and I could see him going, Paul, I think I'm stuck here. I think that's me. Oh my God, I'm definitely stuck there. I feel, but how do I change that? Like, I want to change it, but I don't quite understand it yet. And I said, well, if when do you remember the last time that you really felt like you were happy in your life? And he said, well, when I was an apprentice. See, when I was young and I was an apprentice, when I was sweeping the floor one day, the boss came down and said, you're good. I'm giving you a promotion. You're going on reception to take calls and organise the day. And he was like, I said, Paul, I felt like, oh my God, and I was at reception, I got that promotion. I loved that feeling of just moving and up in the world, and I always wanted to feel like that. And then I was there for a few months, and then the boss came down and said, you're good. Upstairs, I'm promoting you. And he got made a manager of deliveries, right? And he's up there, and he's just having the time of his life. There's a fire in his belly. And life is great. And he ends up a few months later, boss comes down and says, you're good. I'm going to promote you again. And he got made manager of the whole place. And then he got made CEO. And then after that achievement, he ended up building his own business. Big, huge place that distributes all over the world. And he starts to, he's influencing all the staff. He has everything, his system set up. Now the system is automatic, it's running, and it doesn't need him anymore. So he's great. That's what everybody wants, have a system that works, that's making you money, and you don't have to really do too much about it. So he ends up going home and just potting around, and after a while he's starting to notice that he's not as happy as he used to be, and he doesn't know why, because he's stuck here and he's lost the fire in his belly. Even though everything's okay, there comes a point when okay is not good for some people when they're used to evolving all of the time. He said, I'm stuck here, but how do I get back here? I don't know how to get back here to the doing again. And I'm like, you do know, because in order to have all of the things that you have, you definitely have to be good at what you do. I just have to remind you how to get back into the swing of things again. Get this thing moving, but get you to be able to not need me and be able to stop and look and see, what am I not doing anything? Should I be doing? But when he was here, he couldn't see that there was other opportunities here for him to do these things, because he had set himself up in this routine of a way of thinking that he'd made, and this is it, and there's no more to achieve. And we could go into detail on like why that was and all that, but it's not necessary. Most people do get stuck here, so I got him to, I got the fire started back up on him again, and I done a process where I was able to challenge his thinking. And I got him back into the swing of things again here, where I said, what would it be like if you were back here again and you did all of these things, but you achieved even more than what you've achieved? And he's like, oh my God, it'd be amazing. So I'm creating the stay. And this is what you have to learn to do. You have to be able to think, how do I put myself in the right state, the right mood to do what I need to do? And then get that energy and put that into the next thing that I need to do, and know that I'm doing it. But know that anytime I can change how I feel. So if I lose my mojo or my motivation, I can just fire that switch back up again and put myself into the desirable state I need to be in and put that energy into what I do and just keep doing that. But stop every now and again, relax, and be comfortable not doing anything for a while. Take it all in, measure it, observe it, hang out in Havingtown for a while, but don't stay there. Don't stay in Havingtown, because you get nothing done and you'll get depressed after a while because there's no growth here. And there's no growth in doing, because if you stay in doing all the time, you can't measure growth. You need to stop and measure growth. If you don't stop here, as I said, you'll feel it's counterproductive. If you stop here too long, it's counterproductive. These are just moments in the process that you need to be able to do. So I got this feeling. He's feeling a sense of beingness. I know how to fire that up. That's easy. That's the easy part. So I said, "How do you feel now?" I said, "Paul, I feel amazing. I feel like I've conquered something. I feel like I can see it now. I know what to do." Of course you know what to do. You're a millionaire. Of course you know what to do. You didn't need me to do that. You just needed me to fire the system back up again. So he leaves my office and he goes home and he comes back a couple of weeks later, and I said to him, "So how'd you get on?" He goes, "Paul, it was mad." He said, "I went home." He goes out to his shed and he has his washing machine out there and he's putting washing. He's done this. He said, "I've done this 100 times. Went out to my shed, put washing in the washing machine." And I could smell, I have 2 motorbikes there, and they're there. The last time I rode them was 8 years ago. And he said, I could smell them. I could smell the motorbikes. They were under tarps, 2 high-powered motorbikes. And he said, I haven't rode the motorbikes in over 8 years because I was thinking, what if I fall? You know, I've got kids now and I can't afford to be an idiot anymore and crash a motorbike and kill myself. So he said, I could smell them. And I never smell. How did I never smell them before? It was weird. So I went over, took the tarp off the motorbike, the 2 motorbikes, and I put the key in and I turned it on. And I put the jump leads on, boom, started straight away, and I could smell the petrol. I was revving, I was going, I'm going to do this. What if I don't fall? What if I don't? And he gets so motivated that he rings his friend and he says to him, we're going on a road trip. I've insured the bikes, and he did. He went on a road trip. And ever since then, I've seen him a few times after that where we're just catching up, and I work with his son and I work with his wife and I work with a load of people in the family. He's flying. And he said every now and again, he says, I check to make sure that I'm either not stuck here, here, or here. And he started up a new project with his son, started up a new business, an incredible business. And his son ended up over in another country working with Richard Branson. And he sent me a message going, man, it's unbelievable. We're just in the zone. We're in this mood. We feel like we're moving. And it's all thanks to you. Thanks for getting me dad fired up again, because he's excited about life again. And he knows if he's stuck in any of this. So if you are able to stop and just check where you are, I'm going to keep going here a little bit, so stay with me on this. And I'm going to simplify it. And then you can just leave here with the gist of all of this and the concept of it. And when I'm thinking about this, I'm not going through this in my mind. I'm just thinking, okay, I'm thinking about it simply. I'm doing too much now. I need to stop and just take it all in. I'm able to just chill out, and I'm able to reset myself, put myself into a really good state. I don't feel guilty anymore about sitting here and doing nothing. Now, I know I can't stay doing nothing. Like, it's 20 past 11 now in the evening, and I'm not reading a script around here. I'm just shooting this video off the hip. And I was only starting to set up the camera because I'm at being out walking the dog, and I just came back here and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. Because I'm not thinking, I'm at the walking the dog, it's late now and I'm working all day and I was done something today. I'm not doing that anymore. My nervous system is stable and I have the energy to put into this. I'm not tired because I'm not overthinking anymore. And I don't feel guilty for going and sitting down later on and resting. You know, I've got something to do at 3 o'clock in the morning because I work with people in the USA sometimes and I have a 3 o'clock appointment. And I'm probably going to go sleep for an hour and then get up. But I'm not guilty about any of not getting enough sleep or too much sleep. I just know that it's a process and I know what I have to do. I know I have to stop and rest for a while. And I know that I have to get up and do this thing. I don't have to, I want to do it. But I'm going to be able to be so at peace in my nervous system that the energy that I have at 3 o'clock in the morning would be much better than I would have been years ago. Years ago I would have been wrecked. And then I would have been thinking, oh my God, why am I feeling like this? What am I doing working at 3 in the morning? Poor me. You know, I would have had a pity party at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, why am I doing this? Is this right? Is this what I want to do? Why was there anybody else doing this? I know I've got the I'm getting paid for it, but what's the point? Thing is, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm checking in on this every now and again, and I kind of know the gist of where I am. I just had to sit down one day and sketch this out, which I did last week. And then every day I was getting ideas to add into it to just finish it off. I think I've kind of finished it now, and it's self-explanatory. So he was checking where he was, still is. To this day, I was talking to his son about a year ago. Haven't seen him in a year, so maybe a year ago, his dad was like, yeah, dad's still fired up. He's got that fire in his belly, and he's doing all these things. He's actually working with all the staff in the warehouse, and he's just motivating them, and he's listening to them and getting ideas off them. This is the way we have to kind of do it now instead. So society says, if you do something, you can have this thing, and then you can be happy, but not now. If you get the job, if you work really hard, you'll get the job, and you'll have the job, and you'll that's what you're looking for. And when you have the job, you're going to feel confident. Then, people go and find out that that's not necessarily true all the time. If you do this, you can have this and feel this. So it's all outside of you. In order to have something, you have to do something first. That's society. It's kind of a socially constructed model of what you should be doing. So what I looked at was, because of the three gods, what I was looking at was being comes first. You are a human being. You're not a human doing. This is what you would call a state of beingness. This is what a kid is in, a child. If you ask a child what they're thinking about, they're not thinking about anything. They're just in the moment. If they fall, they cry. A couple of minutes later, they're back up playing again. They're not overthinking why they fell and who pushed them and why the world is against them. So they're not in a state of stress or fear or low self-worth because they're not telling stories in their head. They're just being in the moment. Just be. You are being. You don't have to try and be. You're a human being. And in order to make yourself feel bad, you have to do something in your head in order to make yourself feel bad about the world outside. So feeling bad is a process. Fear is a process. And all of the processes are unstable by nature. That's why when someone has a problem, I can change how they feel about it, because I know by nature the problem itself is not certain, but they're certain they have the problem. And I know that there is no certainty. And I have ways of interrupting their certainty so that they're not certain about their problems anymore. They actually don't know if they have it or not. And I've got the universe on my side because there is infinite uncertainty out there. And I just introduce more uncertainty into their certainty, which is contradictory to what we were taught. And when you do that, you make the problem wobbly so that their attention is not stuck on it anymore, and their attention moves somewhere else in uncertainty, where all of the answers are, and all of the solutions and all the possibilities live in uncertainty. So I get them back moving again. So you are the uncertainty. You are a process, and it's changing all the time. So you're a human being first. And if you can get the gist of this is a metaphor that I use. It works really well. If someone can come up with a better one, I'm in. So if you know some prophet or some Catholic or whoever has their interpretation of the three gods, and they go, no, you do it this way and it works better, I'm in. I'm willing to be wrong long enough to change this. But for me right now, it works way better than anything else that I've ever worked on or ever experienced in my life. I do it with people, and straight away, they can never be certain about their problems anymore, and they can get on with their life. So it works really well. I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work. And this process that I'm teaching you is unstable by nature. It can be challenged by anybody. The question is it adding value and is it working? So first of all, we find about how can I be the best me that I can be first. Then when I'm feeling that best me, put that energy that I'm feeling into what I'm doing. And what I'm doing will create something better if I'm feeling amazing. So that I can enjoy this process of being, and I can actually enjoy what I'm doing. So I don't have to wait to have the thing to enjoy it. Why wait? Why not just feel like amazing when you're doing something, and then what you have out the other end will be much better. And don't stay here too long doing, because you have to stop and check in with what you have. And when you've charged yourself up enough and rested yourself enough, then you go back here to being again, because you've created a state here. And then when you're in beingness, you ask yourself, what do I want to do now? And then put that energy into what you want to do. And if you keep this thing moving, you'll never feel stuck. And you won't feel guilty about being in any of them. But you're going to know people that are going to be stuck in one of these. I guarantee you, when you start to get the gist of this, you're going to see, okay, that person is definitely stuck in here, or they're just sitting on a beanbag all day playing the PlayStation. It's very counterproductive. They're not really going to get anywhere in life if they keep doing that. They'll win games, but eventually they'll go broke. So I'm going to kind of just get you to consider, how can I create this beingness first? And it's quite simple. It's not complicated. It's actually doing less rather than doing more. And I'm going to move on here to this process. So I experienced this not so long ago. During the summer, we built a pergola out the back. And I'm constantly in this state of beingness. I'm not going around hairy-fairy jumping and skipping and annoying people, because that can be very counterproductive as well. I just know how to create this desired state. And I can play the game. You know, if other people are in a bad mood, I don't come in and go, this is it, I'm feeling great, you shouldn't be feeling bad, I'm feeling good. That's not going to be helpful, because people don't like people like that. When I was feeling bad, the most annoying person was the person that was happy all the time. You want to punch their lights out. So I feel like this inside, but sometimes I'm interacting, I'm dancing with people, you know, for a higher purpose, so that I can help them and lead them. But I'm not going around jumping up and down like this all the time. But I do have this energy. So if someone's feeling bad, I'm in a good place, and I'm better to lead someone to a better place, because I go there first. Because if you want to help someone, guess who has to go there first? Me. But if I'm having a shitty day and you come to me for help, I'm not going to be very helpful. I'm going to probably end up agreeing with you. So we built a pergola. It's like a canopy out the back. It's in one of my videos. It's in the video called The Dark Side of Self-Help. And you'll see me sitting doing this kind of a video where I'm talking about self-help, and I'm in this meditating, you know, trying to pretend I'm meditating and reading a book. And I built that. Me and Lindsay built that. Never done it before. We just Googled it, YouTubed it, and got all the parts, and we just built it ourselves. And because we weren't fighting, we weren't stressed out, we were just like, let's do it. And people are going, why don't you just get somebody in? We're like, no, that's boring. We want to do it ourselves. Maybe we'll make a mess of it, but at least we'll give it a go and have some fun doing it. We built it, and it turned out really well. Now, a builder would probably come in and go, hang on a minute, you didn't put the right cuts in there. But if you walked in, you wouldn't know. You'd look at it and go, that's amazing, you did that. Yeah, we did it. So we felt good, put that energy into what we were doing, and what we got out the other side was amazing. So we didn't stop in a pergola and sit there all day and go, this is it, just chill and just relax and enjoy this, because there was something else that we wanted to do. We wanted to build a wall that was holding in a tree, and it was at the collapsing. And I said, why don't we do it ourselves? Why don't we just get the bricks, go off and get the bricks, and we'll just figure out how to build a wall. Now, I'm always good at fixing things, but it wasn't too hard for me to go onto YouTube and go how to build a wall, and just see how how many buckets of cement with buckets of cement and sand, how to mix it, which way the bricks are laid, how to make sure it's level. Watched a couple of videos, got it in there, and I was like, I know how to do this. And we went out and we were working on the wall, and we had it halfway built, and we got the right amount of bricks. It was just turning out great, and we were enjoying it. Beautiful summer's day. And Lindsay's sister came down and said, how do you two not kill each other when you're doing something like that? Because we know now, we know how to not get stuck in our heads making up stories about what things mean. And this is the secret to it. If you can get to the point where you can stop telling yourself stories and just be quiet, your nervous system will be at peace. And when your nervous system is at peace, if you put that energy into what you're doing, you're going to get amazing things out the other end. So we didn't sit in the pergola all day and do nothing. I create this state, then I build whatever I'm building, or do whatever I'm doing, or make a video, or put my stuff together here, whatever I'm working on. What I get out the other end is always good, because the energy that I'm creating here is influencing what I get out the other side. If I was in a bad mood and I did the project, you'd probably see it. You know, I'm just doing it to get it done. I just lashed that nail in there. It's not going to hold, but sure, look, I'll be well gone before this thing falls down. You know, it's that kind of feeling when you're doing something, when you're in that mood. So I ended up doing the wall as well. And I'm constantly doing this process, but I always stop, and I always kind of do what this other guy was doing. I look down and go, where am I stuck? If I'm feeling bad at all, during the lockdown, I was stuck here, and I was going, I'm sitting around waiting because the government said, wait till we tell you what to do next. And I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was feeling like my friend was saying to me, my colleague was saying to me, you should do that website thing you were talking about doing. I said, no, I don't know what to do yet. I'm waiting because the government said that there's going to be lockdown for to flatten the curve for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and then 2 months turned into 2 years. So it's like, and I was like, man, the amount of work I could have done while I was waiting. So I figured it out after a while. I was like, I'm not going to wait anymore because I'm at my best when I'm doing something, and so is everybody. But some people feel guilty here, and then when you're feeling guilty and you try and think about going to do something, that energy of guilt is going to be the worst energy that you can put into what you do. Because it's going to be, it's just a toxic energy, and you'll fight with yourself and you'll fight with other people, and you'll do it under duress, and you will get it done under duress. You will get it done, but it's just not going to be, what's the point if you're not feeling this? And yeah, so I'm always kind of observing, checking, am I doing, having, or being? I need to do this. I used to feel bad about doing this. I wanted to keep doing it all the time because everybody else looked like they were getting ahead, and I need to do more. I need to do more. I need to do more. But for what purpose if you can't just sit there and observe it and take it all in and enjoy it? And I don't feel bad about this, and I don't stay here either and go around like on top of the world telling everybody to be positive. It doesn't work that way. So this is the simple process. How do I create this beingness first? So here's something that I kind of wanted to kind of show you. And I hope you're getting something from this video. It's not structured in any particular way. I've got it set up in a kind of a systematic way. I'm not reading anything here. I'm just going with what I know. And I didn't dress up for this either. I'm exactly as you see me. I just done this, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this video. So if you're watching this one, I just went ahead and uploaded it because it was perfectly imperfect. So here we go. I put this together, and I had the quote, everything is unstable by nature, including fear. And if you look at this, let's make me smaller here. Everything is unstable by nature, including fear. So if you look at anxiety, when people come into me and they say, I've got anxiety, they're certain about it. What I have to do is make them question it. So this is the universe, and it's unstable by nature. It's in flux all the time, and there's infinite possibility and transformation happening all of the time. And this is part of who you are. It's part of your problem. And this is a pocket of certainty. I know I have anxiety, and I find out, how do you know? What's the evidence that you have that makes you certain that you've got this feeling? Because the feeling in itself is a good feeling if it's the right circumstances, because anxiety is there to protect you, and getting rid of it would be counterproductive on your safety. So it's not the feeling that's the problem, but how are you reminding yourself of why you should be feeling this feeling all the time? I'm looking for evidence of what is the thinking process that's stirring up the feeling in the body consistently, because that feeling would go away if you leave it alone. But people are feeling it all the time because they're sure of their problems, and you can never really be sure about anything. So I have to help them to create a little bit of uncertainty inside their certainty. And I've got the universe on my side because I've got this infinite field of possibility. So if you look at certainty, this one here, right? On the edge of certainty is uncertainty. People think they need certainty, but really, you can only create pockets of certainty. It's something that you do where you put some meaning into a box and you're sure of something, but then someone else could come along and challenge this and go, are you sure about that? And if they challenge it, they'll realize that they're not really sure about it. Because if you get them to question their certainty, then it's not certain anymore if you put more information in. So if you put more choices into anything that's certain, nothing is certain. It can be. Certainty has an infinite ways of challenging it, infinite possibilities. So uncertainty, everybody's afraid of uncertainty. They don't like it. Well, not everybody, but most people are like, I don't like uncertainty. But in uncertainty lives possibility. So change the word uncertainty to possibility, and just notice what that does. Possibility. Now, as well, change the word uncertainty to enlightenment. Change the word uncertainty to adventure. Change the word uncertainty to novelty. Change the word uncertainty to new and different. Because novelty lives in uncertainty. It doesn't live in certainty. New and different lives in uncertainty. It doesn't live in certainty. Adventure lives in uncertainty. So if you wanted to get rid of uncertainty, you have to eliminate possibility, novelty, and adventure from your life. And that would be very depressing. And that's what people do when they create certainty. They're convinced that what they believe is true is actually true, and they stabilize it because they keep checking in on it and looking for evidence why it's true. And sometimes they go for therapy, and the therapist goes, "Let me tell you why you've got that," and they become more become more educated on their problem, and they know more about it, and they have more sophisticated ways of talking about why it might have something to do with their mother. And they're stacking the deck against themselves, and inside of that box is all of this reasons why I'm feeling like this, and that's what stabilizes it, is that story. And if I challenge that and I say, how do you know that you've got depression? And they say, well, I wake up in the morning and I feel lethargic and tired. And I would say, well, if you're not lethargic and tired, would you still be depressed? Have you ever been lethargic and tired and not depressed? Would it be possible that you could be lethargic and tired and not depressed? And what you're doing with that is you're putting in, you're questioning, you're investigating into it, and you're making it wobbly. Now, there's more stuff in there that the mind starts to go, never thought about that. Now it's not stable anymore. So the mind can't use it as evidence because it's still under question. because you have to answer those questions and say, it is possible to be lethargic and tired and not depressed, because I've felt like that before. And I don't get depressed if I'm lethargic and tired. And it's not, so if that's not the problem, how else do you know? And then they'll come up with more evidence. They'll say, I'm afraid and I'm going to get COVID because if you don't wash your hands, everybody's going to get sick. And I say, how do you know? Well, it was on the telly. And well, if it was on the telly, does that mean it's true? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? Well, yeah, the doctors say that it keeps you safe. So you're talking to me and you're in here with a problem. Your family and your wife and your kids are leaving you because you're washing your hands all of the time and you're spraying spray on them and you're wearing a mask and a shield and gloves, and your family are going, look, if you don't stop, we're leaving because we can't handle this anymore. It's too much. Yeah. So how safe is your relationships? Well, they're not safe. So washing your hands all the time is not safe. All the time. It's some of the time it is, but not all the time. So how safe is it to wash your hands? Well, it's not that safe. I'm not saying that you don't wash your hands, but there's something wrong here, and I need to challenge it, and I need to get you to be curious about all of the choices that's available here in uncertainty, and you introduce that into the problem, and with more choices, you have less excuses. Because there's more information there that you get to choose from, more choices. My job is to help a person put more choices in their mind and their nervous system, so that they don't make the same choices that's only available to them in that certainty that's causing them to feel that particular way. And every problem is like that. There is no certainty. There's an infinite field of possibility of infinite ways that I can bring in choices into this. And the more choices I put in with this process that I'm working with you now in this video, if you're watching this still, your unconscious processing in the background is going to be nodding your head and relating to this. Now your mind can't unsee it, and it has to include it in your next decision making. So when you have something outside that reminds you to go inside, this is going to get this process of just being aware of the gist of it is going to transform how you think about that. It can't not be any other way. It's impossible for you not to process this. If I do it right, it'll have a massive impact on your thinking, and you'll be aware of it more so if I do it the way I know how to do it. Doing it on video is a little bit different than actually doing it in person, because I can calibrate to a person when I'm working with them in front of me. I can see, if they're confused. I can see if they're, getting some magic moments out of it, and I can calibrate to that a little bit better. But with these videos, if this is something that you're curious about, and if you're confused means you're changing. So confusion precedes growth, because in order to learn what you don't know, you have to be confused. So if you're a little bit confused, that's good too. If you're not confused and you're getting it, either way is good. We're heading in the right direction. So anxiety. I've got anxiety. How do you know? And I open it up and I get them to question it, and I get them to stop telling the story about anxiety. And eventually I get to the point where I'm saying, okay, if you want to create that problem again, go outside and just talk to yourself and come up with evidence of why you should be feeling like that. But I'm going to be able to challenge everything that you say. Nothing is certain. Even my interpretations of reality are just constructions in my mind, but I'm constructing reality in a way that stirs up better feelings. And when I feel better, I get better things done and everybody feels better. Isn't that what we all want? So if someone comes along and goes, that's bullshit, the first thing I would check with is this person adding value to their own life and other people's lives? If they're not, then I'm not going to take that advice off them, because it's obviously not working for them. This is working for me right now. It's been working for me for a long time. I've been using it indirectly with people for a long time, and I'm able to challenge their way of thinking, and they feel better and they don't know why, which is good. It means it's totally unconscious. They're not thinking about it. They're waking up in the morning and they're gone, I don't know, I just feel better. I don't know why. It just came out of nowhere. It's like, it's as permanent as the problem was. I just wake up and for no reason at all, I just feel good. And even when something makes me feel bad, I can't feel bad for more than 5 minutes. It's really weird. So, this is an infinite ocean of uncertainty. And if you can look forward to not knowing and you can thrive through uncertainty, then you won't have a problem. So I get the person to open up their fear, and I say, what are you afraid of? And they'll tell me what they're afraid of. And then whatever they come up with, I'll look for the evidence of how they know it's true. And I'll find every piece of it. And I'll put more choices into their fear. And then I say to them, how do you feel about it now? And they say, I don't feel anything. I feel good. And I'd say to them, okay, you will leave here, and I guarantee at some stage of your life, you'll feel fear. And I hope you do, because it's a necessary safety mechanism that's going to get you to react accordingly to what's happening in front of you. So if someone's running at you with a knife, you better be scared. But you're only going to feel scared long enough to get away. You're not going to be stuck in fear in your head for days and weeks and thinking about it and ruminating and going over it in your mind and thinking, why did it happen? You just won't be able to do that, because you'll know that in itself is a construction, and I've just ruined it. Every construction that you come up with, you're going to be like, pause it, to ruining all my problems. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this spare time. And this gives everybody the ability to be able to have some certainty in your life, because I need to create a structure in my life, certainty, in order to be able to get things done. So I create a certain amount of certainty inside this ocean of uncertainty, but I only put in these boxes, the right information that's going to get me to be able to have the right state inside of me. So in most cases, what I'm doing is I'm just not putting meaning on anything. So anything that's beyond the tip of your nose, that's all you're paying attention to, but you're not judging it. You're not making sense of it. You're not thinking, why did that person do that? Why? You're not even going into your head and trying to come up with some certainty. Because if somebody annoys you and you're bothered by other people, you're creating some certainty in your mind that you think you know that person. But the universe is looking at you and they're thinking, how do you think you can measure something that's undescribable? The meaning that you're coming up with about that person is not the truth. It's only your interpretation. There's so much more to that person that you could ever measure with. I can't even figure out people, because from moment to moment they're changing, because they're in flux all of the time and their mood is changing. If you ask somebody why they do something, they'll tell you, but it's going to depend on what mood they're in. The mood is going to influence the answer that they give you. So you can never really know anything. Why would you try and figure anything out when it's open to interpretation, when you can question it at any level and keep chunking down until you find out you don't really know anything? And that puts you in a state of beingness where you can interact with the world and just move through it and react to accordingly to what's just beyond the tip of your nose. You're not designed to think about anything further than your nose. Only what's in your immediate environment. The information from tomorrow is not available to me now. It's only available when I get there, and it's beyond the tip of my nose. So if I could give you any advice of how to just do this in a simple way, remember, I'm doing a video here. I'm not Harry Potter. This could transform your life in a major way. And I can't guarantee that. that it will, because it's just a video, you know? Nothing in life is guaranteed. But yet you've had big things happen in your life in a positive way that wasn't guaranteed, and they still happen despite there being no guarantee. So I can't guarantee this is going to change your life in a positive way. How can I guarantee anything? Because I live in an ocean of possibility, and it's really possible that you could change in a really positive way after this and go, you know what, I've got this. I don't feel stuck anymore, and I can't get caught in, like, I can have a problem, but I don't have to suffer. So we're introducing more uncertainty into your life, which is contradictory to what we were taught. People coming into me looking for certainty, and I'm like, no, I'm going to inject a little bit more uncertainty into your life, because that's what you're looking for. Because in uncertainty is possibility. In uncertainty, there could be something in uncertainty that could make you feel better, but if you're in certainty, there's nothing in certainty new. And what you're looking for is something new and different inside of what you know, so that you can change. And it's infinite. And my job is to introduce more uncertainty into a person's problem. And it doesn't sound normal, but it makes the problem not certain anymore. And if someone tries to make it certain and go, oh, I can tell you why that person's like that, all they're doing is creating a story that has a meaning, and with the meaning, it creates a feeling. And I'm like, if you want to do that, knock yourself out. I've done it for long enough. Bought the t-shirt, seen the video, and I just decided it's not for me anymore. And this works way better, and no one can take this off me. I'll fight to the death to keep this if someone tried to take it off me. This is something that works. I know a lot about how the mind works. I know a lot of techniques. I know I'm trained a lot in persuasion and influence and hypnosis and all sorts of mind techniques. And I don't use most of them on myself. I only use them as tools to uncomplicate people's lives. So I need to know all the complicated stuff to help people to uncomplicate their lives. So it's all necessary for me to have, but I'm not doing these techniques on myself most of the time. I do use them some of the times to clear my mind, but in general, I'm in flow with this. So here we go. So the doing is the part here where you climb the mountain, and when you get to the top of the mountain, that's where you should sit and take it all in and just be in beingness and go, this is great. I'm doing this. It's great. Look how far I've come. You hang there for a while, but don't stay there, because there's all these other mountains that you should desire to climb, because it's part of your evolution. You keep moving up and you evolve and you conquer the next one. But if you're depressed, the last thing you want to do is climb a mountain. But when you're feeling good, like, so we a few years ago with a good friend of mine, we went to Wicklow somewhere. I can't remember where it was. I must try and figure out where it was. There was a mountain that we climbed, me and my nephews and my best friend, metal detecting. We got up to the top of this mountain and we broke through the brushes and climbed up, and we were in bits when we got there. It took us forever. And it was funny, because when we got up to the top, we looked over and there was this couple walking up this pathway. There was a pathway all the way up, but we couldn't see it. It was right beside us, and we're just like, can't believe there was a pathway there all the time. But it was fun, wasn't it? I remember my nephew saying, but it was amazing, wasn't it? Like, we did it. And I said, yeah, but there was a pathway. we hadn't known that, we could have just waltzed up it. And anyway, we got up there, and there was a pyramid up there, an ancient pyramid that I believe is older than the pyramids in Egypt. And it's all kind of collapsed in, but we had the metal detector and we found some old bullets from years ago, and we were intrigued by what we were finding. And there was nobody up there. There was no beer cans. It was just so isolated that there was no rubbish up there or anything like that, which was great. And we had a little barbecue up there, and then we looked over and seen all these other mountains like this that were pretty similar. And I was like, there's 3 other mountains that are exactly like this. How about next week we come back and we climb that other one? And we did. Came back and we climbed the other one. And we felt great, and we figured it out, and we had the energy to do it because we were excited. People lose their excitement because they're sitting here and they're thinking about what things mean. Why did that other fella say that? What does that mean? Why does it mean? And they don't have to shut up. No matter what this person comes up with, I can challenge you. That other person thinks I'm an idiot. Is that true? And yeah, how do you know? And are you? And yeah, I am. They think I'm an idiot, but that's what you do. People act. What you do is not who you are. Hands up has never acted like an idiot. What you do is not who you are, but you think that what you do is who you are because you think that what that other person thinks you are is who you are. But maybe you did act like an idiot, but that's not who you are. They're just words that he's using to communicate, but now you're doing it in your head and he's not even here. How's that work? How's that working out for you? Why don't you not do that? And if you don't do it, how would you feel? What's everything else that you could do in your head that could make you feel better? And I interrupt their pattern of thinking in a really different way than most people do. And then I get them out of that stuck way, and then I challenge them to do it again. And the game is up on it at that stage. They don't know how to do it. They don't want to do it. They know how to do it, but they know now if they do it, it's going to make them feel bad. And I'm like, so here's what you do. I'm going to leave. You go and make yourself feel bad if you want, but you're going to know you're doing it. And it's not a complicated decision to make. Do I want to feel bad or good? And it's interrupting people's way of thinking. So what you do is climb the mountain. That's the doing part. You should enjoy this if you're in the right state. This is where the learning occurs. This is where growth occurs in the climb. When you get up here, this is just where you measure what you've climbed and look back on the whole thing, have perspective on it like an old person. Then when you're relaxed here long enough, then you get a sense of beingness. You're being something. You're becoming something. And then you see that there's all this other growth that can occur. It's infinite. You can keep evolving, which means you never get to make it, because when you get there, there's more. That means you can keep becoming more and more and more. And if somebody asked you later on, who are you? You could genuinely say you're more. Because that would be true. Don't say it. They'll think you're crazy or in a cult or something. But you would be righteous to say that, because at any given time, you're more than what you are. You're not what you think you are. What you think you are right now is not who you are. You're more than that. But if you think that what you think you are is who you are, you're going to be depressed. And you might realize that's not who you are at some stage of your life. And it might be too late. So, as best you can, just be aware that this is life and it's growth. It's called evolution. And if you're not doing it, you're going to feel bad. And if you're doing too much of it, you're going to feel bad. It's just being able to stop in all of these different points and realize that it's an infinite field of possibility. Uncertainty is your friend. And that if you get this process right and think, how can I just shut up and let my nervous system relax? And get myself into a nice state of beingness by learning more about myself and how to do techniques. Maybe I don't know what you want to do after this. If you want to watch some of the other videos that I made to stir up some feelings in your body, and then when you're feeling like this, then put that energy into what you do. But don't stay in beingness. Like, you don't expect to feel it all the time, because you might be let down. You cannot feel like this all the time. It will burn your adrenal glands out. But when you feel this clear feeling, then put that into what you do. And what you get out the other end is going to be much better. But don't stay in doing all of the time, working all your life. You have to stop and slow down and take it all in for your mental well-being, and the quality of your work is going to be, it's going to affect both. Then after what you do, you'll have something better. But stop there for a while and just go, I'm just going to chill here for a while. But I'm not going to stay here sitting in the garden all day, because there's other things that I want to do so I can evolve. If you stay here, you're going to go broke. Okay, so as best you can, just check in and keep this one in mind. I'm going to wrap it up now. And keep this in mind. Where am I stuck in all of this? Am I stuck? Is there something that I'm doing here that's keeping me stuck? I think I'm just going to chill for a while. It's okay. I deserve it. I'm not going to feel guilty though. I'm just going to sit here and shut the hell up in my mind. I'm not going to talk about anything. I'm not going to think about what other people are doing, because if I'm doing that, thinking about what other people are doing, all I'm doing is building some certain certainty in my life. But Paul Campbell's going to come along someday and he's going to check and challenge me on that, and he's going to say that's not true. I'm not going to say it. You're going to say it. So what's the point in trying to figure anything out? Why not just be the observer of life without judgment? And look at it and go, I can say anything I want about what's happening outside, because it's not what's happening outside. It's what you say inside about what's happening outside that stirs the feelings up, not the other person. These other people can be kicking and spitting, and it doesn't faze me. I do feel uncomfortable around people that are like that, so I don't spend too much time around them. But I'm not feeling terrible afterwards. I just know that it's like, why would you spend time around somebody that's kicking and spitting all the time? Or that's toxic and negative. I have all these other choices. There's 8 billion other people on the planet that I could be paying attention to. Look at all this. Wow. So as best you can, thrive through uncertainty. Look forward to not knowing. Be willing to be wrong long enough to learn something new. Being wrong is good. Wrong means insight. And if you're willing to be wrong, you'll have an insightful life, because in being wrong gives you opportunities. to learn what you don't know. And learning what you don't know means you're changing. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some value out of it. And if you want to leave a message or shoot me a message privately and ask me some questions, and I'll help you out with probably doing another video, or I might just contact you directly and answer the questions that you want answered. And like and subscribe to this channel to get updated on all the other videos that I'm going to be doing. And I've got my whole system set up right now. It took me a while to build it. And you'll see there's a periods of time where I wasn't doing videos because I was doing other stuff and setting up, and now I have a really good system set up here, so there's going to be more consistency in the videos. And you can contact me through my website, thesmartwaytofeelbetter.ie. So thank you for watching. I'm Paul Campbell, and I'll see you in the next one.